Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Glad to have y'all with us here today. Oh my goodness, it is the 11th day of August. Time is just flying by. Seems to be slipping away. Here in Indiana today, it's in the 90s and there's a breeze blowing. They're saying there might be some rain today, but I'll believe it when I see it. We were supposed to have some rain yesterday and all we got was a sprinkle. So we could sure use some rain. I hope it comes on through and does something for us today. A little bit too. Wow, it's sultry. Knock you down. Oh, well, let's see. We got a lot of news. There's news everywhere. I'm just going to go ahead and start on into her today. The guy here is off of the Washington Post, and it says Daily 202. Hillary Clinton's agenda would flounder in Congress. Here are 7 reasons why. And it's to win a mandate to enact an ambitious economic agenda. During a rally in Des Moines yesterday afternoon, Democratic nominee said she could create 10.4 million new jobs as president. To my administration, we will make the biggest investment in new jobs, good paying jobs, since World War II, she said at a high school. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to invest in infrastructure. Our tunnels, our ports, our airports. We're going to do water systems. We're going to do sewer systems. We're going to modern electric grid. It's going to raise the national minimum wage and make sure that women finally get equal pay. What I believe, she said, is that we need a campaign that lays out the agenda so people can vote for it. I'm elected, I can tell the Congress, this is what the people of America voted for us to do. And then it says, for the sake of argument, let's just assume Clinton wins. Here are 7 reasons why the dynamic on Capitol Hill probably would not change much. Republicans are almost certain to hold the House. The Tea Party wing wind up with more leverage, not less, after November. Afford to lose 29 seats, but even a loss of 15 to 20 seats would make his job as Speaker much more difficult. Losses in November would not likely come members in their deeply conservative districts. Paul Kane explains in his column today. Instead, mainstream Republicans, Ryan's most loyal allies, would suffer, and therefore the Freedom Caucus size inside the entire Republican conference would grow. Even in the very best case scenario for Democrats, they will wind up with no more than 4 Senate seats. That's far short of the 60 needed to break filibusters, which Barack Obama had in 2009. Ted Cruz and other senators will continue to use this tool in order to advance their 2020 presidential ambitions. And still insists Clinton has no mandate to govern, or this is number 3. Many Republicans will insist Clinton has no mandate to govern. They will try consistently to delegitimize her and do everything in their power to make sure she's president. Donald Trump is laying the groundwork to question the very legitimacy of the election, which is deeply troubling, but lately conservative writers are beginning to plant the seeds to argue that a Clinton victory won't actually mean there's any popular support for what she ran on. The Washington Examiner, Philip Klein, argued last week, for example, that Clinton will only win because the electorate thinks Trump is a nutcase. She will still remain broadly unpopular and distrusted among public that won't have paid much attention to her actual policy proposals, Klein argued. Making the election about the implications of Trump's turbulent behavior will make it harder for Clinton to claim a policy mandate, complicating her liberal agenda as president. Number 4, as soon as this election is over, Democrats must turn their attention to protecting vulnerable incumbents. In she gets a Senate majority, the midterm could be a disaster for Clinton, just as 1994 was for her husband. With the exception of the 2002 midterms after 9/11, the president's party always loses seats in 2 years. This time, Democratic senators will be up for re-election in red states Montana, Indiana, North Dakota, and West Virginia. Republicans will do everything they can to prevent those members from getting wins that they can run on. Trump and Clinton are both talking a lot about investing in the infrastructure, but there's very little appetite in the Republican conference for this sort of spending, especially without cuts elsewhere. Infrastructure is another man's stimulus package because Trump is also promising infrastructure, and it polls especially well among educated white men. Republicans have stuck to hitting Clinton on character and trust. However, you can take it to the bank that they will begin Clinton's infrastructure plan the same way they did on Obama's stimulus package. About shovel-ready jobs. It's the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Number 6, Congress could not even pass a relatively small emergency appropriation to fight the Zika virus after the Republicans attached poison pill riders. A, this is during an election year. B, Republicans are fighting to save their majority. There's an outbreak in Florida, and single most important swing state. D, there have been alarming stories about women giving birth to deformed babies. Let's be real. If these mothers could not spur action, how will construction workers and hard hats do it? Got a taste of what to expect from a Clinton White House in Miami on Tuesday when the Democratic nominee criticized the GOP for not taking action on Zika. She said Congress should come back from its August recess. She sounded eerily like Obama has since 2011, trying to use power of the bully pulpit to press congressional Republicans to enact his priorities. Number 7, the bigger picture, and perhaps most importantly, the new president will not be able to break the gridlock that grips Washington without systematic change. This August recess, lawmakers and leadership aides from the establishment wings of both parties have been buzzing about Atlantic cover story entitled How American Politics Happened Gradually, and until the U.S. figures out how to treat the problem, it will only get worse. Jonathan Roch argues that Trump didn't cause the chaos. Trump, our most pressing political problem today is that the country abandoned the establishment, not the other way around, he writes. Chaos syndrome is a chronic decline in the political system's capacity for self-organization. It begins with the weakening of the institutions and the brokers, political parties, career politicians, and congressional leaders and committees that have historically held accountable to one another and prevented everyone in the system from pursuing naked self-interest all the time. As these intermediaries influence fades, politicians, activists, and voters all become more individualistic and unaccountable. The system atomizes. Chaos becomes the new normal, both in campaigns and in the government itself. He believes demonizing and disempowering political professionals and parties is like spending decades abusing and attacking your own immune system. Eventually, you'll get sick because that problem is mental, not mechanical. It's hard to remedy. And then it says in parentheses, this piece is 29 pages printed out, but quite thought-provoking, and you can click on the link to read that. And the article kind of goes on, but you get the 7 points there. And I can't say that I'm surprised by it, and I don't think anybody else would really be surprised by it if they think about it, because it doesn't hold all the power. That's why we have the Senate and the Congress and all that. It has to go through everybody. They can stand up there behind the podium and make all kinds of promises. They can promise, don't make the sunshine every day, but that don't make it happen. So don't sit there and swallow everything that any of them are telling you hook, line, and sinker, because they don't have all that power. And they can present their ideas, but if they don't have a following in the Congress and the Senate to done that they're trying to get done, it's not going to happen. And we've been going through this for decades. There you have it. The next one that I have is also on the Clintons, and it's from the BizPac Review. And all these URLs are in the description of the video for anybody that wants to see them. Look at the rest, whatever it is that I didn't read, or videos or whatever. It's all there. Clinton vows to expand government with new Office of Immigration Affairs, a kinder, gentler. Clinton just made at least one promise she will likely keep. The big government-loving establishment Democrat is vowing to expand the size and scope of the feds for the betterment of the American people, because according to the Socialist Party, also known as the modern-day Democrat Party, America has become about big government and small, insignificant people searching for scraps. Clinton's new, oops, I got something trying to play here. Well, it's bouncing all over the place. Good gravy. All right, I think I got her stopped. Maybe. We shall see. Trying to get it stopped anyhow. Ooh-wee. Okay. The big government-loving establishment Democrat is vowing to expand the size and scope of the feds for the betterment of American people, because according to the Socialist Party, also known as the modern-day Democratic Party, America has become about big government and small, insignificant people searching for scraps. Case in point, Clinton's new big idea. Speaking to Black and Hispanic journalists on Friday, Clinton vowed to start working on immigration issues immediately after the election. I have proposed an Office of Immigrant Affairs for the White House so that we are able to answer questions and provide information and help people, Clinton said. The sector will double down on Obama's disastrous and often dangerous immigration policies. I will defend DACA and DAPA while I work vigorously for immigration reform, Clinton said. I will take a very hard look at the deportation priorities. Our violent criminals, people suspected of any kind of connection to terrorism, not hardworking mothers and fathers, and people who go to work, help support this economy, pay $12 billion a year into Social Security. So we will take a hard look at that, she said. We will private detention centers, just like I want to end private prisons. We're going to close private detention centers. So I have a very active agenda, and we're going to be moving on it. And you know, obviously, it depends on the outcome of this election, which is why it's so important to register more voters. Right, because then all prisons and detention centers can be taken from private sector and run by the oh-so-humane and efficient government. Just ask those who are still alive on the long VA waiting list. Well, it's been working out. And speaking of the elections, Clinton acknowledged how she plans to land herself in the White House again. So I have a very active agenda, and we're going to be moving on it. And I believe, and you know, obviously it depends on the outcome of the election, which is why it's so important to register more voters. My campaign is trying to register 3 million more voters, convince people to turn out, because we're going to start early, and we're going to be tenacious and absolutely committed to getting a positive result. Once we win, we'll improve dramatically. Holy moly. Well, there you have that. Step up. The next one we have is off of the conservative fringeline.com. And this says, wannabe Spider-Man tried to climb the Trump Tower. Spidey suit still in the wash. Over YouTube yesterday, and I imagine the news. I didn't turn the news on the TV, so I don't know, but I would assume that this made the news. And I got 2 articles on this. This is the first one. And this says Fox News reported on August the 11th that the man who climbed Trump Tower, now it's jumping on me, shoot, fire, okay. Get her to stop the pop-ups and all the foolishness. Good grief. All right. Fox News reported on August 11th that the man who climbed Trump Tower has been identified as Stephen, age 19, from Great Falls, Virginia. He has been charged with reckless endangerment and criminal trespassing and undergoing mental evaluation on Thursday. Stated, the New York and national social media was captivated as wannabe Spider-Man Steve from Virginia attempted to climb the 58-story Trump Tower with suction cups. The suit was still in the wash, and that darn webmaker thing broke. Police ended the incident by dragging him inside from the 21st floor window after they removed it. They removed the window. It says he allegedly wanted to talk to Donald Trump, and this way, he could figure out how to do it. But he think Donald was on the top? Huh? Says this was definitely the wrong way to suck up to Donald. Let's take the elevator, telephone campaign staff to make an appointment. Now he'll be looking at the inside of a New York jail cell. Probably not much chance of meeting Trump there. He evaded police for some time before they snagged him away from. And now who's liable for all that broken glass? At one point, the New York Police Department tried to stop him by breaking out a window, which almost hit the climber with a wall of glass, not a real bright method, as if it had actually hit him. They'd probably be liable. Besides, the real Spider-Man would have zapped it with his web and swung away. There's videos on this if you want to look at them. Police lowered themselves toward him on a window washer platform as he climbed toward the 16th floor. They also inflated a landing pad on the street below. The height of this building, they'd likely still have a gazillion broken bones if he'd fallen. Which is why I said want to be Spider-Man. Apparently, the legendary Spidey sense doesn't apply to this guy. In a creepy video that surfaced online while he was suctioning his way up the 58-story glass structure, it came out that he is Trump supporter and was trying to get Donald's attention. That it was the same person, definitely a creepy fella. Oh my. Well, like I say, I can't make this stuff up. So that was the first article on him. And this one is the second one. Pack review. And it says, man grabs headline for climbing Trump Tower, but nobody was ready for what he says about the Donald. He created a media sensation Wednesday afternoon and became a real-life Spider-Man, scaling Manhattan's Trump Tower using suction cups. But it was his 1-minute message, which he posted to YouTube, that's creating the real sensation. Claiming to be an independent researcher, Stephen Rogetta asked for a private audience with Donald Trump to discuss an important matter. I guarantee that it is in your interest to honor this request, he said. The reason I climbed your tower was to get your attention. He got attention of the whole world. If I had sought this by conventional means, I would be much less likely to have success because you're a busy man with many responsibilities, he said. He added that he'll give his contact information to Trump's campaign staff in the event the Republican presidential nominee wants to meet with him. As for anyone else who's watching, please help me make this video go viral so that it gets to Donald Trump, and be sure to get out the vote for Mr. Trump in 2016 election, he concluded. The hour standoff ended at 6:35 p.m. when police yanked him into the building through a window after removing the glass pane. As for his desire that the video go viral, after being posted 8 hours, it received nearly 800,000 views. So I'd say that's viral. It's 15 minutes of fame and then some, isn't he? Okay, the next one we have is also off the BizPack Review, and it says, former Secret Service man is really ticked off at Republicans still opposing Trump. Former Secret Service agent who is running for Congress, Republican, has a brutal message for party members who refuse to back presidential nominee Donald Trump. Dan Bongino, who is making a run to represent Florida's Southwest region after failing to win the 2014. He sees too many GOP politicians not supporting Trump. That's essentially the same as voting for Clinton, according to an interview with WND.com. And the insert quote says, understand this, by supporting Hillary, you are actively contributing to the destruction of the greatest country on earth. This is not a theoretical exercise. You're destroying your kids' economy. You're destroying your kids' health care system. You're destroying your kids' education system. You're destroying any semblance of reality system. You're destroying any sense of getting the government out of your life through this massive overgrowth of government bureaucracy, and you're entrenching 7 years of Barack Obama. You, in real time, you're doing that. Brett Stevens at the Wall Street Journal said at least Mrs. Clinton isn't a psychopath, Bogno charged. Listen, I was a graduate student in psychology. I encourage you to strongly look up the definition of a psychopath. Maybe you'll reevaluate that stance. What is this? Some bizarre theoretical exercise to you making some kind of point by supporting Hillary Clinton, he asked. What's your point? I want to destroy it? Bongio's comments come after GOP elites and the failed Never Trump movement attempts to prop up former CIA staffer Evan McMullin, an independent presidential bid. So there you have his comments on it. Next one we've got here is also off BizPack Review. Got a bunch of them today. It says, graphic video. Black Lives Matter protester in the middle of street is run down by car. Bullets fly. Lives Matter movement doesn't seem to grasp that standing in the middle of a busy street as cars buzz by can be a dangerous prospect. Gunshots rang out Tuesday in Ferguson, Missouri during a protest making the second anniversary of Michael Brown being killed while violently attacking a police officer after a protester was struck by a car, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported. The incident was captured on video, and after the collision, members of the group opened fire on the car. Video, and there's a warning that there's graphic footage in here, and it says Ferguson spokesman Jeff Small told the newspaper woman driver was being very, very cooperative with police and did not appear to intentionally hit the protester. By all accounts, her version of what happened seemed to fit the version of what happened to a person driving down a busy avenue and not seeing a person standing there, Small said. And while thought to be an apparent accident, the woman almost paid for it with her life as her car was bullet holes. The Post-Dispatch reported that the extent of the injuries to the protester was unknown because he was taken from the scene in a private vehicle. Well, what's that old saying? If you play with fire, you get burnt, and if you're going to stand out in traffic, you're going to get hit. Oh, my. Maybe he thought he was invincible or something. But he have his invisibility cape on. Next one, BizPack Review. Budget crunched VA has 167 interior designers on staff. This last week with how they're buying all this expensive art and putting fancy VA for the blind, and what on earth is going on with them, and why is somebody not investigating this and doing something about it? Stop needs to be put to this. It says an army of 167 interior designers work at the Department of Veterans Affairs, picking window blind colors and buying millions of dollars of art each year, an investigation from the Daily Caller News Foundation has found. The designer salaries are not included in recent findings that the VA has spent $16 million on art during the Obama administration. At least a dozen individual pieces of art cost $250,000 or more each. Let me read that again. At least a dozen pieces of art cost $250,000 or more each. Nearly $700,000 was spent on 2 sculptures at a hospital for blind veterans, Polytrauma and Blind Rehabilitation Center. At $100,000 in combined salaries and benefits, many actually make more. Of employing those 167 designers would add up to $17 million a year, or $136 million during the 8 years of Obama administration, making the salaries of the people in charge of picking out art dwarf even those art costs. The list of VA interior designers from 2011 created a company seeking to sell to the VA and spotted online by the Daily Caller News Foundation shows that virtually every hospital has an interior designer, with some having many. It's unclear what could possibly keep them busy full-time, considering the bulk of the work would come during major renovations of the new wing. The 167 designers are spread among the VA's 75 hospitals and regional offices. The Cleveland Hospital has 5 on staff. The Pittsburgh and Dallas hospitals have 3 each. The scandal-plagued San Juan, Puerto Rico hospital, which has multiple felons in high-level positions, also has 3. The San Juan is the designer in charge of purchasing art for the hospital, which has spent $600,000 on art since 2009. $6,000 to the small local gallery, Omart Gallery Incorporated. And there is a picture. It says the picture below, obtained by the DCNF, shows that on at least one occasion, Martinez selected art created by himself. He said the hospital has added more than 600,000 square feet. The amount spent on artwork for these projects represents less than 1/2% of the total cost of the constructions. Which one of these is the biggest reason why the VA is ineffective? The VA budget isn't funded enough to allocate resources appropriately. The VA is simply corrupt. Completing this poll entitles you to a Daily Caller News update free of charge. You may opt out at any time. You are also agree to our policy, privacy, and terms of use. The scope of an interior designer in the VA system goes beyond selecting artwork. Among others functions, they design space for services to veterans, select and coordinate the installation of furniture and design areas where high technology medical equipment will be installed. Artwork is one of the many facets that create a healing environment for our nation's veterans. Non-profit government spending watchdog OpenTheBooks.com first reported the story about the VA's acquisition of art at prices associated with the most elite artists in the world. It needs more doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals, and fewer public relations officers, lawyers, and intern directors and designers. OpenTheBooks.com chief Adam Andruski told the DCNF. He said there is no reason to spend hundreds of thousands of tax dollars on a simple piece of art when veterans create artwork for free, sometimes as part of departments' therapeutic programs. Veterans have their own art museum. Why is the VA spending millions on lavish art when veterans are already producing great art? Veterans themselves should benefit from art displays, not vendors who sell the VA pricey art, Andruski said. The art spending has irked Congress and veterans because the VA has claimed it would be forced to let veterans go neglected unless Congress increases its budget. Patients have died waiting for care, and department on its obligation to pay for veterans' doctor bills from the private doctors. The VA's 2016 budget is $168.8 and 7.5% increase over its 2015 total, according to the department. President Barack Obama proposed 2017 federal budget includes $182.3 billion for the VA. And VA has refused to prioritize patient care over medical benefits. The Tomah, Wisconsin hospital infamously became known as Candyland because doctors prescribed abnormally high doses of sedatives rather than treat patients' underlying conditions. After repeatedly being on the front page and before congressional committees, Tomah officials revealed their 100-day plan for a dramatic turnaround, and the plan barely addressed veterans and called for building an employee wellness center and hiring more minorities. Also part of the plan was hiring an interior designer at $77,000 a year. The recruitment ad said the person hired would be in charge of accoutrements like window treatments, and said the facility preferred either a current federal employee or someone with a PhD or equivalent doctoral degree in interior design. And if this article did not appall you, you need to go get yourself examined. Holy moly. We have veterans who can't even get an appointment at the VA to get themselves looked at. And they're spending this kind of money on artwork. Window accoutrements. Are you kidding me? I mean, you mean to tell me that you can't have a secretary go down to the local home improvement center and buy some shades for the windows, some mini blinds? They're spending this kind of money. Good gravy. All right, next one. It's off the Telegraph and a little bit. All right, North Korea feeding workers crystal meth to speed up skyscraper project. I guess that's one way to do it. North Korean workers are being given methamphetamine-based drug and hopes it will speed up a major construction project, according to reports. In the city capital of Pyongyang are said to be under so much pressure to finish the job on time that they have reportedly providing builders with the drug, nicknamed ICE. It is a form of the powerful stimulant methamphetamine, which is also known as crystal meth. Crystal meth gives users a sense of euphoria, increased energy levels, and suppressed appetite. The effects can last up to 12 hours. Hundreds of thousands of North Korean citizens have been roped into finishing the project, which consists of a 70-floor skyscraper and more than 60 apartment blocks. It was approved earlier this year by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in defense of tough sanctions placed on the hermit state over its nuclear weapons test. Project managers are now openly providing drugs to construction workers so that they will work faster, a construction source in Pyongyang told the Radio Free Asia. They are undergoing terrible sufferings in their work. That was a quote. Human rights workers in Asia said the working conditions amounted to slave labor and urged the UN to take further action against Kim Jong-un. Phil Robertson, Asia Director for Human Rights Watch, said it's going to be hard to verify that this is happening, but if it's confirmed, condemned it. The real issue here is slave labor, and our immediate reaction to this was that if they want faster workers, why not actually pay them instead of resorting to giving them drugs? The North Korean government wants to finish these buildings to somehow prove that they are a developed country, but this kind of forced labor has been unilaterally condemned by the international community. Mr. Robertson added, it is a throwback to the Second World War when governments regularly resorted to forcing labor on their citizens. North Korea has been producing methamphetamine to increase its funds since the 1970s. It was initially sold as medicine, but quickly became a hugely popular drug. It is produced in state-run facilities by underpaid chemists and sold both domestically and internationally. As the production and sale of opium declined in the early 2000s, methamphetamine became even more widespread. And then there's a section here that tells you more about methamphetamine, and so you can read that if you want to. But wow. How long is it going to be before that happens here? They don't want to pay you more, but they fry your brain. The next one is off of GIN.com. This piqued my interest. It said researchers discover bacteria that produces pure gold. Bacteria eats poison and poops out gold. The gold you see in the photo, and there's a photo here that shows some gold specks. It says the gold you see in the photo above was not found. It was produced by bacteria that, according to researchers at Michigan State University, can survive in extreme toxic environments and create 24-karat gold nuggets pure gold. And let's see, says maybe this critter can save us all from global economic crisis. Of course not. But at least it can make assistant professor of microbiology and molecular genetics, and Adam Brown, associate professor of electronic art and intermedia, a bit rich, if only for put together. The gold you see in the photo above was not found in a river or mine. It was produced by bacteria that, according to researchers at Michigan State University, can survive an extreme toxic environment and create 24-karat gold nuggets, pure gold. Maybe this critter can save us all from the, oh, okay, I guess it's kind of repeating itself here. If I can figure out where it bleeped off. Okay. So yes, basically, Caproditis melodornina, like I can pronounce that, can eat toxins and poop out gold nuggets. It seems that medieval alchemists were looking for philosopher's stone, the magic element that could turn lead into gold, in the wrong place. It's not a mineral, it's a bug. Thought that was really interesting, and I'd like to know a little bit more about that bacteria, because I have some science projects in the refrigerator that I might be able to get gold out of. Oh my, bacteria that produces pure gold. Everybody will be doing that project, won't they? Okay, the next one that we have is off of a site called beforeitsnews.com, and it says site to work here. This is a article about antibiotics. For some reason, wanting to cooperate with me. Here we go. I think I've got it now. Yeah, FDA enhances warnings on fluoroquinolone. On July 26th, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration bolstered the warnings. A certain class of antibiotic called fluoroquinolones, saying they are too strong for bronchitis, sinus infections, and simple urinary tract infections. Levoxin, brand name, Levaquin, and Cliptofloxacin, brand name Cipro, are both examples of commonly prescribed fluoroquinolones associated with serious and long-lasting side effects. A good friend of mine suffers from permanent neuropathy in her hands, and as a result is taking Cipro several years ago. The FDA, in a statement, says, while these drugs are effective in treating serious bacterial infections, the FDA found that both oral and injectable fluoroquinolones are associated with disabling side effects involving tendons, muscles, joints, nerves, and the central nervous system. These side effects can occur hours to weeks after exposure to fluoroquinolones and may potentially be permanent. Two or more of these side effects can occur together. Fluoroquinolone injuries are so common, in fact, that victims of the antibiotics refer to themselves as floxies. The name comes from ciprofloxacin. And this has a little insert in the article that says 6 of the deadliest antibiotics you can take are ciprofloxacin, gemafloxacin, ofloxacin, moxifloxacin. So it says warnings, fluoridated pharmaceuticals may be the deadliest antibiotics on the market. Besides nerve damage, they have been associated with damage to other body systems, including your musculoskeletal system, eyes, and kidneys. Why? It has to do with the fact that the quinolones are antibiotics whose potency has been kicked up by the addition of fluoride molecule. Fluoride increases into hard to penetrate tissues such as your brain. There you have that article. For anybody taking antibiotics, you might want to be aware of that thing. The next one we've got here is off of fox9.com, and this one tickled me, so I thought I'd bring it to you. I like to make you chuckle. This one says, license plates revoked for being offensive. There are too many people with not enough to do. You know that? And I'm trying to get the article to scroll down here so that I can read this to you. Who in the world is worried about a license plate? You know, what it says on it. That's what gets my goat. She's not wanting to scroll. Why are we doing this? We'll try to boost it again here. Maybe it's just because it's so hot here in the studio today. Oh. Trying to get her to work. Little wheel going round and around. Little hamster's running, gasping for breath. Water while it's taking its time here. Oh, my goodness. Well, I really wanted to read this to you because it was funny. But it's not wanting to cooperate. I guess I'm going to have to let you read that one yourself because it just don't want to do nothing for me. Just running around and around and around. Well, anyway, they revoked the rights because people were offended. Now, who has time to sit around reading people's license plates and is stupid enough to get offended by whatever it says on there? You know, there's people that need to get a life. They need to pull themselves together. It's just ridiculous, the things that people get upset about. Nope, still trying, and it ain't going, so we're just going to put that one. You'll have to read it yourself. Maybe it'll work better on your computer than it is on mine. The next one that I have, this is your feel good for today, and this is off of KSL.com. Police rescue birthday party for a boy with autism. Yukon, Oklahoma. When Braden Hubbard turned 3, his mom knew one thing for certain: there'd be cars. Cheeks and spiky hair, loves him so much, it was a no-brainer that his party would have this theme. Plates, cups, napkins, banners, all printed with characters from the Disney movie Cars, adorned the family's tidy suburban home in Yukon, Oklahoma. They looked ready, but Mom Tara worried they'd be missing the crucial element: guests. Not many people were saying if they were going to come or not, she told CNN affiliate KFOR. As Hubbard weighed canceling the party, someone knocked on her door, and outside were members of the Yukon Police Department. At first, she thought her luck had gone from bad to worse. They come up to my door, and you always think it's bad, Hubbard said. But the officers came as invited guests. Unbeknownst to Tara, someone put a call into the department telling them there was a little boy with autism who was going to have a birthday party and asked if we could show up, Captain Matt Hoffer recalled. Came in during shift change. A dozen of Yukon's finest turned up, posing for photos with Braden and letting the birthday boy check out the inside of their cruisers. Hubbard tears up thinking about the gesture and how much it meant to her boy. They have important jobs. It's scary for them to go to work right now, and just for them to come and say hi to Braden, just to tell him happy birthday, it means a lot. Hoffer says even if the 3-year-old forgets, his mother will always remember. As a parent, you want the best for your kids, and especially a parent with special needs, Hoffer told KFOR. We were able to provide that to her. We were able to provide just a moment of normalcy, I guess. So there's your feel good for today. So, you know, if you hear that there's somebody in need of something, whether it's company or whether it's food or whether they need a smoke detector in their house, you know, whatever it is that they need. If you're able to provide it, do something nice for somebody. It's not going to hurt you. I mean, you weren't put here on the earth to be a hateful individual, to help other people and be as loving and giving as you can be. With that, I'm going to thank everybody that showed up in the chat room today. Thank everybody that lurks out there and doesn't want to get in the chat room. I want to thank all my Memorex viewers that'll be watching the show later. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Go out, stick your feet in the grass, ground yourself, take a breath of fresh air, take a look at the face in the mirror and ask what you can do good for somebody today. And with that, we will see you back here tomorrow on Friday at noon. Have a wonderful day.